Welcome to the Legal Learning Podcast. I'm Jolene, your host, and with the Legal Learning Center, I help pre-law students and law students with their legal journey. Today's guest is Tina. Tina was a mom while she was in law school and shares her experience with us. At the end, I'll share my top takeaways. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. Financially Free Aspiring Attorneys is a course with over $300,000 in money-saving tips, starting in high school and going through law school graduation. If you want to go to law school, but you don't want to pay for it, check out legallearningscenter.com/financially-free to find out how you can avoid law loans.
Good morning. My name is Tina Kesten. I am currently a partner at a law firm in Newport Beach. We specialize in workers' comp defense.
All right, Tina, how old were you when how old was your daughter when you applied to law school? We won't talk about your age.
Yeah, I barely remember my own age. She was a toddler when I began law school. So I'm trying to think. She was probably 2 or under.
And when you were applying, were you in college or working, or what were you doing?
Well, I had taken a gap a couple of years after I graduated. I got married and I became a mom, and then I applied to law school.
Did you have any trouble with taking the LSAT and all that, the application as a mom, having to juggle those things?
Not with the LSAT. I was able to study for that at home, and applying was easy back in the day. So that process was fairly straightforward.
And how was starting law school with a toddler?
It was challenging, but doable. My law school offered a part-time day program specifically geared towards working parents. So it offered classes during the day when your children were in school, for instance, so that you could just attend when they're attending classes. I did have to take summer school for a couple summers, but because of that program, it was very manageable for me.
So what was, if you can remember, the schedule like more or less between school, studying, and taking care of the family?
Sure. Generally, I was in school from, let's say, 8 in the morning until the afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 in the afternoon, a couple days a week. I think that as I got further along in my law school career, I could, with electives, pack my days so that I was only there maybe 2 days a week. And I do believe I took some night classes as well, so that I had to minimize the time that I was actually at school. And once I was not in school studying, I studied when I could. I studied at dinner. I studied when my daughter was sleeping. I studied on the weekends.
Yeah, I know for me, I was definitely in blocks: school, study, sleep, and that was kind of it. So it sounds like you were just a little bit more scattered, just doing what you could when you could. Is that accurate?
That's true. And also additionally, I did want to be part of the law school experience. So I joined clubs. I met people. I had study groups. I met at the library. I really did want a comprehensive law school experience. I did spend time with my child, so it's not as if I abandoned her, but I did find that I had to juggle several things at once, but it was very manageable for me, but difficult at times.
Now, did you notice, you mentioned the networking and so forth, the hanging out with other students. So did the other part-time students engage in networking, or was that what you did with maybe full-time students?
No, I had several friends. We were all in the same program, and we also engaged in networking together, and separately we interacted with the full-time day students as well, of course, and the night students. So, my law school offered several different programs, several different ways you could accomplish your goal of getting the JD. So, but specifically, I did make friends in my own program.
So did you find that it was limiting in any way to be in the part-time program?
Not really. The only difference I felt was I was there for 4 years and some summers versus being there full time 3 years. But it was okay. I actually thought it was maybe even less stressful than being there as a full time day student.
And did you feel like your summers were, you said you took summer school, right?
I did, and those were at night, so it was really okay. I hung out with my toddler during the day, studied if I needed to, and then went to school at night. So that was actually okay.
Okay. So did you do any internships your first summer?
Oh, good question. I'm not sure if it was my first summer or my second, but I did do two internships. The first internship was at the city of Los Angeles, and then my second externship actually was with the DA in Ventura County.
Okay. So it sounds like you still got the full experience as far as being exposed to really good entities to intern and externship with.
Absolutely. I didn't feel limited at all. I wanted to do an internship and an externship, and that was made available to me.
And were there any, as you went along, any different tricks or tips that you noticed were helpful with managing home life and school life?
Well, absolutely. First of all, having a child, much less a toddler, does require support from outside sources. So whether that's your partner, your parents, your siblings, daycare, you do need support because someone needs to watch your child while you're away. Having said that, though, because my child was a toddler when I was in law school, I put her in daycare because my spouse worked. So that was our choice, and that was fine. She was young enough to interact with children her age so that I could go to school. I also took a lot of advantage of breaks during the school day. So at lunchtime, I would try and either socialize and network or study with people. So I think for me, the most effective thing was to have a plan of your day, map out your week if you can, and just say, this is what I'm going to accomplish each day.
Were there other parents in the part-time day program?
I think we were all parents.
Okay. And did you notice any differences? I mean, as far as maybe some people just drowning, and if you can tell what those differences were?
Other than the usual law school stress, I don't think that there was any difference in my program with all, and frankly, that we were all moms. Okay, I'm sure it's open up to dads as well. But when I was there, we were all moms. We all had at least one child. Some of us had two children. I don't think we felt any more stress than any other student did, to be quite honest.
Now, did you feel as you approached graduation and starting to study for the bar exam that there was a difference there?
It was challenging. So again, so for the summer, we continued to have our child in daycare so that I could use the time to study for the bar. So I had to take advantage of childcare alternatives, for study time.
As far as changing throughout the programs, I know you said that you tried to combine your classes so that you were only there a few days a week. Did you find that it was difficult to kind of navigate between the daytime and nighttime programs?
Not really. It also depends on what your interests were, what electives you wanted to take. Other than it being dark and being on campus dark, there wasn't a lot of a difference. Although I thought the culture of night school was a little bit different. I think you had a lot more working professionals there, a lot more parents too, because of the same reason. So I think there was more of a sense of maturity at night school / summer school. But no, I mean, the classes were the same.
In your summer school classes, was there a difference in those as far as how difficult they were or the vibe of them?
No, I mean, the difficulty depended on the subject. I can specifically recall taking an immigration law class, which I absolutely loved. And I just thought it was fun and great. The students, it seemed to be a packed classroom, as I recall. So the students were great and friendly, just like the daytime students, really.
Let's see, do you remember your study schedule for the bar exam?
Vaguely, but I think what I did was about 6 weeks before the bar, I really focused and I studied as if I was at work, right? So I studied from, say, 8 to noon, took a lunch break, and then from 1 to 5, and then I shut it down because I think overstudying can be exhausting and your mind needs to rest.
And yeah, I definitely agree with that, by the way. For sure. That's exactly what I did as well. So we have, in this audience, we definitely have single and married parents. And I see these questions all the time, how to study, how to get through law school. I mean, do you have any overall, I know you mentioned the support system, any other overall advice that you would have for these students to help them prepare and be successful?
Well, my recommendation for the bar, especially with regard to the essays, is to take a bar review class. I took Barbary, but I'm sure there are plenty of them out there. And to also just practice writing essays, practice a template for every subject, have one opening paragraph and just write twice a week and time yourself and take advantage of the cards that they give you for the multi-state. You can I bought a lot of material. I listened to audio tapes. I'm sure there's podcasts now. They didn't have that back in my day, right? So, but I had tapes or CDs that I listened to. Driving to school, I had probably a 40-minute commute. So just practice is my best advice.
And for those parents who are looking for jobs that are kid-friendly, is there anything that you can recommend that they look for, in whether it's an interview or a field?
Well, I am in the workers' compensation field, which is not something I had probably even heard of when I was in law school or had any interest in, to be honest with you. But when I passed the bar, I started throwing my resume out there to anyone who would catch it. And I happened to have gotten the first decent offer for a job from a workers' compensation practice. And it worked out beautifully for me as a working mom. The hours were flexible, the pay was good, the stress level not as high as civil. So, and I did do some civil work in that same firm. So there's a lot more stress in the civil arena. So if you're looking for a good work-life balance, I can't recommend enough the field of workers' compensation, whether it's on the applicant side or the defense side. I'm currently on defense, but I did start as an applicant attorney. I just find that it has worked for me now 15 some years later.
That's so great. So it sounds like your child is no longer a toddler.
No, my child is a legal adult now, and I've had another one along the way. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your tips and advice. I really appreciate it. If there are students who have questions for you about their legal journey as a parent, is there a way they can reach out to you?
Certainly, you can reach me at tkesten, that's KESTEN, at sgvblaw.com.
Great. Thanks so much, Tina.
Thank you.
As a mom, I can't even imagine what it was like to go to law school with a child. Tina just makes it sound so casual. Now, before we get into my top takeaways, a quick word from our sponsor, Juno. If you need to take out student loans, check in with Juno first. Juno can often offer law students a lower interest rate than the federal government. And they do this with no cost to the student and oftentimes cash back as well. Visit joinjuno.com p like podcast /Legal Learning Center for more information. All right, my top takeaways from this chat with Tina. First, it's completely doable if you have a plan. Stick to a schedule, make it out every week. Number 2, check out alternative programs. Tina started with a part-time day program. Not all schools offer that, but she also attended school at night. Not all schools offer that. So check it out, see what your options are. What if you actually could handle it all and want to do a full-time day program in your second year? Or what if you started out full-time and you realize you just can't do it all? Is there an option to change? Check that out before you attend school. Number 3, have a support system, not a person, a system. So a backup to your backup. If you're using daycare, what if your kid gets sick and you have a final? You need to have another support person. So make sure you've got that all worked out ahead of time. Number 4, the part-time program was not detrimental in any way. She was able to network, socialize, do her externships, and that's really reassuring. That's great to hear. All right, so all the tips and links and so forth will be in the show notes. A full transcript is available on my website as well. And that's it for this episode. Be sure to check in next week for our chat with Sarah of Ember Academic Services. Sarah tutors students with disabilities. She helps them find schools that are better at providing accommodations so that the students aren't fighting the school the whole time they're trying to learn. Even if you don't have a disability, you should really tune in to hear the difficulties these students face from school administrators. And if you learned something today, please like, share, comment, subscribe so that this show is more visible and others who need the show can then see it. Thank you.